the reflex save, I thought it was quite a long way over. And obviously just gambled that it was going to go to the right-hand side. But no, he's played a major part in them winning here tonight.
He did. Credit to their coach. They obviously came with a game plan to stifle Arsenal, which at periods they did. They played on the break into those channels and created their own moments of danger. So credit to MRBEAR, really.
Yeah, I thought the tactics were spot on. I thought they caused this Arsenal team problems. I think problems that we haven't seen Arsenal have to deal with this season. I think they did it really well. We spoke before the game, the positioning of Edwards, and could he cause Zinchenko problems along with Gabriel? And I felt like he did that at times, and that was going to be the way they were going to get in. They ended up scoring a phenomenal goal just inside the half. But yeah, we did expect the problems to come down that left-hand side, the right-hand side, so Arsenal's left. And I think they did for the majority of the game.
Yeah. At times, it looked like they were a team that could get to the edge of your box, maybe didn't have the cutting edge. So they obviously recognised that and thought, well, we'll just shoot from 50 yards. That's the way to solve that problem.
Well, that's right. And they had 14 shots and only 2 on target. But one of them was enough, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, this is... I said, actually, earlier that I wondered if this was some sort of practice behaviour because have they looked at the goalkeeper, because he does take a high line, as most goalkeepers do these days, because he's onto it in a flash, and he doesn't even look up. He knows where the keeper is, but the execution is amazing.
He has get that glance, up and down. Doesn't he? You see, just before he strikes, just before the execution, he has a slight glance where he sees the keeper off the line, but to execute that technique, the backspin to keep it down just inside. It's fractions. It's honestly, you can watch that over and over again, and it just gets better.
Well, you could, but I can't. It
hurts. But I think Arsenal was so loose in possession for an Arsenal team that we've come to recognise as a team that likes to dominate possession. I felt they were loose with possession over the 2 legs. Today we've seen it, a Sporting team come here and dominate possession, which we haven't seen all season.
It almost seems, doesn't it? It's just like a game too many, a round too many for Arsenal. It's a team or a club that's rebuilding. They weren't even in Europe last year. And every year you're in Europe, you build the Champions League, hopefully comes for Arsenal. Again, they can invest. 2 casualties tonight early on. Then that made it more difficult for the manager. Ødegaard came on quite late, probably wanted to get him on a bit earlier, but he couldn't because his hands were tied. All the substitutes were being used. So maybe it's a blessing that they've gone out of a tournament. I don't like saying that, but the Premier League is looming so large and there's such a big effort that now they can go wholeheartedly after that and not have to worry about playing deep into a Thursday night. Palace are sitting looking at Arsenal now, big game at the weekend. They're kind of like, it's a casualty ward of injuries, isn't it? And trying to get them back. But I'm pretty certain this manager will get the players focused and back on blob, ready for Sunday.
Well, he'll need to. They did that last week, didn't they? After he wasn't happy with the performance in Lisbon, but they went to Fulham and got that job done in short order. So they've shown they can turn around Thursday to Sunday and tick off a Premier League game. And Crystal Palace haven't been in great form, so there's a chance to bounce back on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they have to. They have to come away from tonight. They have to regroup quickly because, as you say, they've got the game on Sunday against Crystal Palace, who aren't in the form that they started the season with. So it is a game that Arsenal will be expected to win. But certainly this would have hurted that group of players tonight, going out of a game that they probably, as a collective, because, they do have a better squad now to compete on all, in all competitions. So they'll be disappointed tonight that they've gone out at home as well. So they will have to regroup and bounce back on Sunday against Crystal Palace.
A better squad, an improving squad, but he perhaps is finding out that his first 13, 15 are stronger than or more regular rhythm with each other than those that drop in.
Yeah, but he'll give players time. Vieira came in tonight, and you saw, didn't you, the step up in class when Ødegaard came on the pitch. There's very definitely a difference there. Yeah. But we have to give Vieira an opportunity and time.
But surely they've got a grip.
I thought Sporting were really very good at the opening exchanges, and then it took Arsenal a little bit of time to settle. But once they started passing the ball, Jorginho for the goal was a magnificent pass that he picks out. I mean, what a signing he's been. I mean, it's all important. In January, they brought players in. Really good with Martinelli coming onto that right foot of his, and then Xhaka has been a revelation this season, playing in a more advanced role. I mean, I think if you see here, I think he thinks initially it might be for him, and he stops there, but then he keeps his run on because he knows there's bits and pieces that might come his way, and it's a really good finish from him. He just seems to get ever better. Every time we watch him, just slots it away nicely.
It's probably the first time Jorginho found himself with that little bit of time and space to look forward and play those forward passes and really try and break down, a really organised Sporting team. And as you said there, the positioning from Xhaka to follow up from the save from the keeper, really good. But it was that first time we've seen Jorginho in space in that opening 20 minutes because Sporting come in and dominated that opening period.
Well, they did, and you said Marcus Edwards might get into that little pocket between Gabriel and Zinchenko, and so it's proved once or twice.
Yeah, it has. I think it's caused Gabriel at times and Zinchenko a few problems. We see there with the movement, it really dragged Gabriel out of position, allows the fullback just to get in advance, and then they're in really good advanced positions. I think if they was a little bit more clinical in these final moments, it would be difficult for Arsenal. You can see here again, Zinchenko, you know, so often seen him in possession for Arsenal, so narrow, but it's those transition moments we spoke about before the game. Edwards here, again, you know, getting himself into danger areas in the box, could do a little bit better.
And then this quick clearance, he's on his bike.
Martin ain't happy here with the defending, are you, Martin?
Well, I actually wondered, with the other angle we had, was given a different picture there, but he shouldn't be left in a 1v1 situation because the guy has got blistering pace, and I want Gabriel really to get back there a little bit quicker.
I think they're the moments, aren't they, Matt, where Edwards should be doing better. He's got an advance to Zinchenko. I know the bounce was a little bit awkward for him to get down, but he has to do better in those moments. They're not going to get many of those opportunities here against Arsenal, and they have to do better to create something.
The risk of going with a strong team is two of them have to go off injured. Tomiyasu, maybe you can work around. Saliba's a big miss, depending on how bad that bad back is.
It's proving very expensive.
Yeah.
They're in front at the moment, but to lose those two players, it's a bad one from Tomiyasu. He almost seems to do the splits, and then Saliba with what appears to be a bad back. So you want to get them back as quick as possible. Big games coming up at the weekend.
Yeah, you pick your
Game time on the field, which will come for him. And that's a shame that you've gone out of the competition. But when you look overall at how much it's impacting on the group, all of these games, you know, the first game there was, you know, a number of changes going into that game. I think 6 changes going into that game. It was a case of trying to manage the situation of giving the right minutes for each player, and the players then managing their energy levels. And I think there was a little bit of that again tonight. They went for it in the end, don't worry.
Yeah.
Just couldn't pull it off.
Yeah, they did. They looked the dominant side in extra time. They obviously wanted to get the job done if they could. They came on strong, but not quite enough.
Yeah, I think they did in extra time, but I do think we have to give credit to Sporting because I actually think their game plan, their tactics were difficult and would have been difficult for any team to come up against. I think they really disjointed the Arsenal back line. Zinchenko at times, you know, his positioning, then forced errors within Gabriel's positioning. We saw Holding give away a half chance, you know, with his positioning going in with the striker. So I think the way in which they set up was difficult to defend against, and I think it caused Arsenal problems.
They went 22 games earlier in the season unbeaten. This is a team that, you know, expects to win, and there's a huge belief. It's different, you know. I know
Position maintenant. Alors que se passe-t-il? Le buteur Hakim Ziyech est resté au sol.